Native Logan, ready to get rolling. Check your dick, wanna know what you're holding. I refuse to lose, give me them cues. I'm ready to snap, tell me what you wanna do. Come on, let's go toe to toe. Marvel at my strength, I'm ready to win, yo. Give me the mic, I'm finna rap about it. Don't matter about it, chatter about it. Let's snap. Snap, 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 snap. I'm gonna snap, 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 snap.
Hello and welcome to Snap Chatter, your weekly Marvel Snap podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Logan.
And I'm the other one, Nate.
Nate, the new season is upon us, man. We are getting so close. I don't know if I've hit infinite or not yet because of how we record these episodes. We record 2 a night. So at the time of this recording, I'm still at rank 96. But man, I really hope I have hit infinite by the time this episode hits public feeds. Because if I haven't done it by then, well, I'm never doing it again. I can
Never
tell you that.
again.
Never again. Let me tell y'all, as someone who has taken this game very seriously for the last month, I am never doing it again. It is, we talked about this in episode, what was it? 5, I think, healthy approaches to Marvel Snap. Mm-hmm. We need to add an addendum on there is don't go for infinite. You will burn out.
I mean, it's like it's one of those things that like if I get close enough, like it's like might try, but
yeah,
honestly, I'm probably just a little too casual to like care.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the sense that I have to be that way, or else I will like literally pull out all my hair and go insane. So
which I have.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we can just add it to it, man. Marvel Snap is meant for fun. I mean, I guess if you want to take it competitively, you can. Just make sure you got healthy checks in there and don't take it too seriously. Otherwise, you're going to drive your spouse and your friends a little nuts because they're like, dude, you were talking about this game nonstop. Please stop. You started a podcast, so we wouldn't have to hear this, right? So.
Yeah.
But with that being said, though, it's exciting because it's a new season, new cards, and we're going to take a look at not only April's season of cards and everything you're getting with that, but we also, I'm going to say recently, time is relative in regards to recording this podcast, but a data mine for May's season pass as well. So we're going to go over both of those in this episode here. But man, let's just kind of take a recap yet again of this past season, Days of Future Past. Nate, overall, how did you feel about this past season? The cards, the season pass. We got Nimrod for the first time, who was great in Destroy decks. What did you just think of the overall season as a whole?
I sort of rank this season as it's not nearly as like crazy as like Zabu or Silver Surfer, but this is a solid season. Nimrod is a good card. And again, we've talked about him. I think he's a little, frankly, I'd like to see him at a different sort of like cost point. But other than that, I think like he's got a place. He's got like, he's got some utility. He's got some use. He's a useful card. Doesn't really change all that much, but I think where this season has been really cool is like, I actually just hit 34 just a couple nights ago, got that sweet Wolverine variant.
Buddy.
I think some of the variants that they're offering this season are arguably the best. That Steampunk Sentinel and the sort of like the Wolverine in the Rain, they're just like, I mean, and that's half of why I play the game is for the cool variants. So, I mean, like with those two right there, that's big winner chicken dinner right there. I give it like an A-. I like to see like maybe a little bit better of a season pass card, but again, Nimrod's good. He's just not great.
Yeah. He only fits in certain kind of decks, and you really have to kind of finagle some things in order for it to really pop off. But when it does, it is pretty cool. It's still, to me, it's fun to just do Shuri into Nimrod into Arnim Zola. And then there's like, 3 or 4? No, there should be 2 Nimrods in one lane that are like 10 power. And it's just, it's
3,
nuts when it works.
Because when it'll be 4. Yeah. It'll be 4 Nimrods total, 2 in each lane.
Yeah. And it's just, it's fun. It's fun. I think I'd agree with that rating. I might go lean a little more towards a B plus, but then I think about the variants we got and I'm like, that Wolverine variant is so hard to beat, man. It's so good. It's so good. And plus we had the Jim Lee variant bundle, which I know some people got, some people didn't. I picked it up because I mean, the Jim Lee Sentinel was so cool looking. The Archangel one is so cool. I'm waiting for some kind of buff to Archangel, or just Angel, I guess is what he is in the game. Yeah. My big thing with him is I wish, even if he's in your hand and a card gets destroyed, he flies out of your hand and goes into that spot. I wish he would do that. If they make that one change, I think he would be a perfect card. Perfect.
Honestly, he and M'Baku sort of are on the same level. Like if their abilities would trigger, period. Like, you know, so you could keep M'Baku in your hand and basically get a free 2 power. Like it, like, that would make them like, they're fine as is. Like M'Baku is pretty he's
M'Baku's like the most OP card in the game, dude. Come on.
Hard disagree.
I wish that were true.
Like, yeah, it's like, you know, but yeah, I think Angel's like a good card, but it's like he just a lot of times like they're just better 1-drops. Like especially like he's okay in a destruction deck, but there's always a better 1-drop. So
yep, absolutely. But yeah, I think this season as a whole though has been my personal favorite just because it's been X-Men themed, and so getting the X-Men card back has been really cool. The Wolverine variant got some really good variants out of the mystery variants in the season pass tier things. Just really good. I got a Ronin one that fit perfectly when I got Master Mold and was putting him in that deck.
I paid real money for that variant. So I was, when you pulled it for the free 99 out of a cash or whatever, I was a little jealous. Yeah. But that variance.
Yep. And if I remember to put that in here, I'll put that in here as well. And we'll take a look at it.
We didn't talk about this, but Master Mold finally came out.
Yeah, he did.
He's okay. Like,
I'm okay. He's
okay.
He's good. He's, I have to justify it because I spent 6,000 tokens on Master Mold.
Oh, so did I. So did I. I unpinned Thanos just so I could get Master Mold.
You got it too. I forgot about that. Man, so here's my thing, right? I watched Jeff Hoagland, not someone I personally endorse because reasons, but he built a Master Mold deck that was like a bounce deck, and I used it, and that got me pretty good rankage in the game for a while. Maybe that's the one that got me into the 80s. I can't remember what deck got me into the 80s.
Like you pair it with like I think the problem though is that the cards that you're gonna want to pair it with, like so Widow and stuff like that. You're not gonna have a lot of power on the board. Just period. Yeah. Like you're relying on cards like Ronin and Devil Dino and Darkhawk to be like your power, and that's iffy at best. You know?
The only time I could get that deck to really work really well was if I managed to get Ronin down on the board. And again, because we're playing Shuri, whatever, there's usually a Cosmo on the board. And then I would go into Mystique to copy Ronin on turn 6, and then Maximus on turn 6 to just boost them up a little bit more. And that would win me matches right there. But in the matches where you don't have Ronin, or you don't have Mystique, or you don't have Mystique and Maximus, it's an instant loss. Because again, you don't have enough power on the board. So yeah, I like Master Mold just because he's fun.
Yeah.
But he's not.
He's arguably like you pair him with like Widow, like you've got a savage turn 4 or savage turn 2 and 3. Like, you're stuffing their hands full of like crap that, well, it's like, go ahead, play, one of those Sentinels. I dare you. But
I think the best play I ever saw with Master Mold this past season was the day that the card came out and Bar Sinister revealed. I didn't have Master Mold, right? So this is my first introduction to Master Mold. My opponent snapped. I'm like, dude, it's literally turn 2. Okay, whatever. So I went along nonchalantly and he just put the thumbs up and a fist bump emote and then played Master Mold into Bar Sinister. And then my hand was just flooded with Sentinels. And I'm like, I literally can't play anything because my entire hand is like just Sentinels and I literally, what the heck? This dude just destroyed my hand. And I was like, crap, I need to get Master Mold ASAP. That was so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, in that situation, Master Mold is going to it's absolutely ruin your opponent's day. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Other than that, it's fun. It's a good time, right? If you don't care about your ranks and you just want to play around with it, it's a good time. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's kind of how a lot of these cards are going to be for a while until more people get their hands on them, get more creative with them and things of that nature. But that kind of leads into April, right? Last season we saw new cards like Master Mold, Nimrod, Kitty Pryde, Negasonic, Teenage Warhead, or what is? No, I think that's what it is. Which I'm seeing some pretty interesting plays with Warhead. I'm kind of like wishing. I feel like I'm going to have this FOMO sort of effect every time a new card comes out. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. I wish I would have saved my tokens for that, but it's going to be cool for like that one day, and then everyone's going to move on from it.
I don't know. I think Teenage Warhead's going to be interesting because she's basically like lane security. It's like you put her down, and it's like, oh, you can put whatever you want. I mean, aside from somebody throws in armor against that, but at that point in time in the game, most of the time, like armor's already out. So
it's true. That's true. But man, let's look ahead here. Of course, we're looking at Datamined stuff over on Marvel Snap Zone. So of course, a lot of this stuff is subject to change at certain points. Granted, when this episode releases, it'll be the start of the new season. So we'll see what is changed and what isn't. But just looking at it here, we're looking at an Animals Assemble season with Hitmonkey being the big card for the season pass. It's going to be a 2-cost, 0-power card that when it reveals, you gain +2 power for each other card you played this turn. Man, I got to be honest with you. I'm looking at Hitmonkey. First of all, I love the idea of Hitmonkey, just a monkey assassin. That's funny. Mm-hmm. But the on reveal thing has me like, okay, how could you use this? And so maybe Nate, you can help me out with this a little bit here. On reveal, you gain +2 power for each other card you played this turn. Would this be nuts in a Sarah deck for an explosive turn 6?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be one of those cards that I'm trying to actually pull up the visual. So, but he's going to be one of those cards that, you're going to see like explosive turn 6 kind of stuff with him. Like he's a card that honestly is better left till turn 6 in a Sarah deck or with a bunch of bounce stuff. So it's like if you have a bunch of 0-cost stuff or 1-cost stuff from like Beast or, stuff like that, where you can just like dump a whole bunch of if you can basically dump a whole bunch of cheap cards, like you can get him up to, 8, 10 power fairly inexpensive, and you're spreading that power across the board as well. So it's,
that's true.
I think like you're going to see him hit the most obvious pairing is going to be with Sarah. And then you just drop a bunch of like 1 and 2 drops in there to sort of like, and he's a nice, like, he's not going to be like crazy explosive. Because there is a limit to how many cards that, right. But, you could probably pretty easily get him up to like 6, 8, 10 range.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited to get my hands on him and just kind of see what he's all about. Again, this looks like it'll be with the season pass. So it'll be the card that you unlock right out of the gate to kind of play around with, much like Nimrod, Zabu, Silver Surfer were in previous seasons. Of course, you're going to have these beautiful variants that you're going to unlock on the path, or they're going to be in bundles. I'll try to get pictures of these up, but of course they're by Ryan Gonzalez for Goose and Cosmo, obviously because it's animal themed. So hopefully, I mean, Goose is getting a lot, or not Goose. Well, both Goose and Cosmo are getting a lot of play depending on the deck that you're running as of the time of this recording. But Nate, I want to focus on these cards here because I think we might have talked a little bit about these in previous episodes, or maybe it was like before we started recording. But with each new season, we're going to see 3 new cards get added to Series 5. And like we just mentioned, for this past season of Days of Future Past, we had Master Mold, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Kitty Pryde show up alongside Nimrod, which is the season pass card. And this season looks to be bringing in both Snowguard, Jeff the Baby Land Shark. That's going to be a crazy card, and Stegron. Now, to go over these cards a little bit here, I'm going to look at, just read kind of their card text, and then we'll kind of spitball some ideas for these cards themselves. So Snowguard is, while it's in your hand, this transforms each turn into a hawk or a bear, and I'll get into more details of that here in just a second. Jeff the Baby Land Shark reads, you can move this once. Nothing can stop you from moving or playing this to any location. So that makes me wonder if you can sneak that into a Professor X lane and, you know, you didn't have enough power there. You sneak that guy over there. Maybe
it
you can
says
get him
nothing can stop. And so
that's
Sanctum
gotta mean
Sanctorum, like you can play him anywhere. Nothing can stop. Yeah.
That's going to be nuts. That's going to be fun to see for like move decks or just any kind of deck. Really just slot that in there. And then Stegron, which is this crazy looking Stegosaurus dude, move an enemy card from here to another location. That's going to be a little disruptive. I'm very curious to see how Stegron performs and what he does. But let's start with Snowguard a little bit here. Let me see if I can get some text for the hawk or the bear. And I'm not pulling up anything, so maybe that information just isn't out just yet. So with that, I mean, that could be a change in power. That could be a change in cost. That could be a lot of different things. We won't know until we see the card a little bit more in depth beyond what this reading is. But man, Jeff the Baby Land Shark, how are you feeling about that one?
Dude, I'm like flat out. I think that's going to be, I don't think it's going to, it's like one of those things that I don't think it's going to like radically change the game, but I do think like he is going to be in a lot of decks. Just cause 3 power anywhere you want it, you can move it. Nothing can stop you from playing it. Like, you know, that basically sort of, you know, you can blow raspberries at Professor X when he shuts down a lane. You know, you can like all of like the different, like, you know, when you have stuff that's like, you know, and he's one of those cards that's great too, because like, what is he? He's a 2 cost.
2 cost, 3 power.
So you can play him on turn 2. Let's just say like, you know, because I like what I like to do is I like to play stuff on the unrevealed tiles, just in case you get like a Sanctum Sanctorum or, you know, something like Sanctorum or whatever. You know, you get something where it's like hard to play. There are times when that bites you in the butt. Like, you know, if it's the one that gives you +1 energy every turn, or it's the bar with no name where the lowest power wins. You know, I actually lost a game because of that, because I dropped somebody on the bar with no name. And as soon as it flipped, my opponent snapped and I was like, you know what, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, I've got nothing here. This is just going to go poorly for me. So, but like, he lets you just like, you can do that, the play, wherever you know, you can play him turn 3. And if it's a tile that you don't want him at, you move him. Or like I said, you just kind of leave him there. And then if somebody like goes to shut you off from something, you go, boop, you know, just like, oh, hey, you thought you were going to like be sneaky with your Professor X and you thought you were going to have this 3-point advantage. Well, no, Jeff the Baby Land Shark disagrees with you, sir.
I can't get over that. This is literally a baby land shark. And I've read comics most of my life. I have never heard of Jeff the Baby Land Shark, but I love the card. I love the look. I love what he's all about. I've got to know more about this dude here. I think this is going to be just a superior Nightcrawler in a lot of ways.
He's definitely got that sort of that vibe. He's going to be a more powerful, and I think a more potent Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler can't penetrate Professor X's sort of lockdown.
Yeah, but Jeff the Baby Land Shark, he's coming for you, Professor X. Watch out. Man, let's move on to Stegron. Move an enemy card from here to another location. I can't help but think this is going to jack up some plays. I mean, I can see it messing with things like a Wong combo. I can see it messing with just a lot of different things, and maybe even moving certain cards to make another lane completely locked up, so you can't do anything with that card. This is going to be crazy, man. Of course, I say that, right? And we all thought Master Mole was going to be crazy, and we got him like, he's okay. I wonder if that might be the same thing with Stegron, or Stegron might be one of those cards that's going to be like, okay, you need to get this card, like save up, right?
No, I think Stegron's going to be like, just looking at sort of what he does, right? So on reveal, move an enemy card from here to another location. So short of somebody like Cosmoing the lane, you're going to be able to pull out so there's a lot of utility here. It's like you said, you can maybe move something into a lane and sort of block it up. You can move a big fatty over into the bar with no name. You can sort of maybe drag something over into, the one that shuts down ongoing effects. Like you're going to be able to sort of like get like crazy kind of with him. You're going to be able to pull out like the big nasties that they're hiding in an armor lane. It's all of that stuff. Is like he's going to, and at a 4 spot, like you can play him in a Zabu deck and play him on turn 3, or you can save him, and in a Zabu deck on turn 6, drag something out and then Shang-Chi it.
That's probably the one. I mean, I just want Jeff the Baby Land Shark because he's so cute looking, but I'm really interested in Stegron the most. I think in each of these new cards we get each month, there's going to be one card that I think is going to stick out to a lot of people. And I think Stegron might be that one, unless we get more info on Snowguard and then we kind of see what she's all about. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see. It looks like another promising thing, but this kind of goes back to, we're looking at these cards and like, I don't know if these are really going to like change up things a lot. But I mean, these things, when they get added to the game, they're going to be 6,000 tokens, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of early to call this, but do you think it's really worth it for that? I almost wish there would be one card that would go into Series 5, right? Let's say that's Stegron. Jeff goes into Series 4 and Snowguard goes into Series 3. So that way, you can at least reasonably get one of these new cards each month. But I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on that? Because card acquisition has been a constant source of debate and discussion within Marvel Snap for a while now.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of just every new card starts off in Series 5. I don't because it's like if you're looking at the token shop, it's like I don't know that any single one of these is going to be worth 6,000 tokens. And again, like I'm seeing the most potential with Stegron. Depending on I have some guesses about Snowguard, but they're just guesses. With that, I would imagine. So I'm gonna just this is pure speculation, but for whatever reason, this just feels right. Is that the bear form is going to have some sort of like lane lockdown, can't be moved, almost like sort of a Colossus type sort of thing, well, on a smaller level. And the Falcon or the Hawk version is going to maybe be like a Nightcrawler-esque kind of thing where it's like you can do some movement. But again, I that's just kind of like, to me, that feels like, and I have absolutely no reason. So it's like, that's just me guessing. It could just it would be weird if it was just a purely cosmetic thing. I mean, honestly, I'm going to be I think Jeff, he's not powerful, but that 3 power anywhere you want it, they can't stop it. They can't dude. Yeah. That's, I think, a little bit bigger than I think people are going to especially if you pair him up, you throw him out and then you throw a Hulkbuster on him. Then, you've got 7 power wherever you want it to go. Or you Shuri him, you've got 7 power at that point in time, you get 6 power wherever you want it to go. I think Jeff the Baby Land Shark's going to be a little bit bigger of a shaker. I think Stegron's going to be a great utility card. Like I said, I think if just my guess is it's you're going to move an enemy card out of a lane, Shang-Chi it, and have 8 power sitting on the board that you didn't have, with your opponent having one of their big gnarlies taken out. Jeff would probably hits close. Like I think Jeff has potential to be worth 6,000. Stegron and Snowguard, whatever.
Yeah, man.
Stegron is like he seems like solid Series 4 material. Snowguard, honestly, just like depending on, and we don't know anything about Snowguard, so until we know sort of what those different forms give us, it's kind of like So,
dude, I didn't even think about that Jeff into Hulkbuster because that would fit perfect. You play Jeff on turn 2, turn 3 you play Hulkbuster, and then just for kicks and giggles, Shuri on turn 4, Vision on 5, and then you've got 2 cards that you can float around wherever. Mm-hmm. Talk about major stress to your opponent. Mm-hmm. If you just even do Jeff into Hulkbuster armor, that would be crazy. That sounds like so much fun. But yeah, those you
could do the Forge power up as well too. Like, turn 2, throw Forge out, turn 3, throw Jeff and a one drop out, and go nuts.
That's true. Man, that's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be fun to see kind of how those cards work as more people get them. So I'm sure we'll talk about them a lot more probably closer to the end of April. But we'll go from there. Along with this data mine were all of the different bundles and token things that are going to be coming in April. It looks like Token Tuesdays are still going to be a thing. So if you really enjoyed those in this past season, you'll be able to get those with gold. So you can get those from the season pass, from completing your daily or just your challenges as they pop up every 8 hours or so, and using those to, turn those in for 5 challenges at a time and getting gold from those little box things that remind me of engrams from Destiny 2 a little bit, just in the way that they look. But you can get a lot of those. I'm not going to go over all of these token bundles just for time's sake. If anybody wants to look at them, I'll have a link to the data mine that we're looking at in your show notes. But the one that we got on March 22nd, the day that we're recording this, is the look at what will most likely, or almost but confirmed now, be May's season pass, which is Guardians of the Galaxy themed to coincide with the new movie coming out, which I'm personally excited about. And looking at it, man, I gotta be honest, I'm digging it because it's Guardians. I like Guardians. The card that we are supposedly getting is Nebula, and her ability is each turn your opponent doesn't play a card here in the lane, she gets +2 power, except the turn that you play this. So I mean, depending on what you do, you can probably get her powered up a little bit there. Maybe coincide a little bit with maybe some Spider-Man, or lock it down with another lane.
And she's just going to play super nice with the other Guardians, because it's like every turn that you're not playing something in there, she's getting a little bit bigger. So if you play something in there to sort of keep her at bay, just drop Rocket, drop Groot, drop any of them in there, and they're going to get big and nasty. Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't even think about that. Dude, we're going to finally have a Guardians of the Galaxy deck that is going to be somewhat fun to play, because it's a catch-22. You can play things in there, but you're going to meet Star-Lord, and then you're going to meet Groot, and then you're going to meet Drax. I didn't even think of that. That's really cool. That's really cool. But yeah, Nebula's in there. Of course, you're going to get variants for Gamora and Star-Lord as well. Star-Lord has, I'm blanking on the name of the suit. I think it's a Nova Corps suit with how the blue is there and the Nova Corps symbols in the middle. It's cool looking. But we also got some data mine stuff for the new cards that are supposedly coming out that month as well. And the cards are Howard the Duck, just such a cool character, the High Evolutionary, and Iron Lad. Now, here's the crazy thing about these cards, is that they come with more fun effects, but I think the High Evolutionary is the one that we're all going to want to save our tokens for. But let's talk about Howard the Duck first and Iron Lad, and then talk about High Evolutionary. So Howard the Duck has an ongoing effect. He's a 1-cost 2 power card that at any point you can tap that card to see the top card of your deck, which is just... it's kind of goofy. I don't know how many people are going to play it, but to me, that sounds like just a fun effect to make the game a little more fun and to just kind of give you a better idea of like what your odds are. Like, okay, should I get out of here? Tap Howard the Duck. Yeah, it's not looking good. Let me bounce out of the match. What do you think of Howard the Duck, Nate?
I think Howard the Duck is going to be pretty good for, like anticipating cards and sort of like maybe looking at, a little bit down the road. He gives you a bit of a heads up, so you know what you've got coming next turn. It's sort of a kind of a bit of a deck fixer in the sense that, if you have America Chavez in your deck, turn 6 you're pulling her, unless Yondu nukes her like he always does. So there is that. So it's kind of one of those things. I think it's like on his own, he seems like a bit of a novelty card, but where he's going to get really interesting is with, the other card you mentioned, Iron Lad.
Yeah. And Iron Lad, just talking about him, he's going to be a 4-cost 6-power card that on reveal, it copies the text of your deck's top card. So whatever card you're about to top deck, it's going to take on that card's text, but I would assume it takes on its ability as well. So
if it's an ongoing, he basically mimics the ongoing power. If he, and if it's just a plain text card, he just becomes a plain card.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is going to be real interesting to see kind of how that shakes up and kind of sees what it does. I like both with Howard the Duck and Iron Lad. It's kind of that gambling sort of side of thing. Like you're kind of testing things out a bit, having checking to see what your luck is a little bit. And it feels a little bit more like poker with these two cards at play. So I think that's going to be interesting to see. But again, we kind of talked about, are these really going to be worth the 6,000 tokens? I'm not 100% sure, but if there's one thing I am sure of is that if this high evolutionary comes out with the text that it has here, it is 100% worth the 6,000 tokens. Let me read what high evolutionary does in his stats. He's a 4-cost 7-power card that at the start of the game, you unlock the secret ability of all cards with no ability. So cards like Wasp, Misty Knight, Shocker, Cyclops, The Thing, Abomination, and Hulk all get new abilities and new stats. Wasp has an on-reveal ability that afflicts 2 random enemy cards at that location with -1 power. Misty Knight, when you end a turn with unspent energy, you give another friendly card +1 power. Shocker gives the leftmost card in your hand a -1 cost, which I was thinking, I'm like, that sounds kind of bad. But depending on what it is, and if you get Bar with no name, that's playable now for you with that card. I don't know how often that's going to happen, but I mean, it's possible. Of Cyclops, when you end a turn with unspent energy, you afflict 2 random enemies here with -1 power. This is what Cyclops should do anyway.
Yeah. I was just like, I'm like, oh, so you make Cyclops viable. That's weird. Now, so, hey, going back to just to check it, like Shocker, actually, he gives the leftmost card -1 cost. So he makes a card cheaper. That's what he does. I
misread that. Okay, I thought Shocker was a negative effect. Never mind, that's positive. Give the leftmost card in your hand. Yeah, there it is, -1 cost. That's awesome. Okay, that makes that card way better. I was about to not have Shocker in there if he was going to hurt my cards. The Thing has an on-reveal ability called Afflict a random enemy card here with -1 power. Repeat this twice more. What?
So he basically applies -3 power to any cards in the enemies on the enemy side. Like he spreads out -3 power. Yeah,
that is crazy. Abomination costs 1 less for each enemy card in play that's afflicted with negative power. You have cards that are afflicting negative power that can bring Abomination down pretty quick, I would think, depending on what you play.
If you play Wasp and the Thing in the same lane, you're going to get Abomination out super cheap.
Yeah, alongside other cards, which is nuts. Hulk has an ongoing where it's +2 power for each turn you end with unspent energy. So you get him out early, he gets more and more powered up. Again, these are all
play him
abilities.
On turn 6 and he's like, if it's you've been sitting around, he gets big.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Dude, see, these are all abilities these cards should have already.
Yeah.
But High Evolutionary is bringing some viability to these cards that we've been like, we like these cards. They're cool, but they don't really do anything. And he's changing that up. I'm going to be honest, man. I think this one's worth saving up the tokens for just because of everything he does.
And my one sort of thing is, and I said it in the Discord, at the TRG Discord when we were talking about it, the fact that I'm not 100% sold on him, and this is just a Nate thing, like that it's beginning of the game. What I think he ought to do is that on turn 4, you play him, and if any of those cards would have those effects, it applies them retroactively on his reveal. So like you could like, and it gives you like, he would be, to me, and again, this is just me, and maybe this would make him just absolutely broken. He'd be like way more fun to like throw in a Patriot deck and be like, well, I can go the Patriot route, or the other win condition is I flip over High Evolutionary and I make everybody go crazy.
Yeah. That would be a fun little surprise, especially with people that are like planning out everything. They're like, oh, this is a Patriot deck. I've got it. You drop them on the board. Everything just goes to crap. And you're like, wait, what? I could see that being pretty crazy.
And the way he's worded right now, you don't actually have to play him. You just have to have him in your hand.
You just got to be in your deck.
Or you just have he just has to be in the deck. Yeah. So I'm like, if you make it so that like on reveal, he applies these things, like, and again, so it's, and I think I did read something too, that Iron Lad, if Iron Lad copies a playing card, he gets a special power, but I didn't see that anywhere. I thought I had read that somewhere.
Okay.
But like I said, I didn't see it in the sort of notes when we were looking at Marvel Snap Zone or whatever. So
yeah. Fair enough, man. Well, I think with this, it definitely has a lot of things to look forward to. I like Guardians. I like the card back covers they have here with that cassette tape. I'm cool with that. Not going to go for the gold one because, again, I'm not going for Infinite again. I'm done with that. But it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And if you're a Guardians fan, I think this one is going to cater to you quite a bit. I'm looking forward to seeing more Guardian decks.
I think Nebula's going to make, I think you're going to see Guardians be a little more present. Gamora gets played a ton. She's a great, 5 slot. But I think you're going to see a lot more of the rest of the Guardians sort of popping in. So
yeah, man. Absolutely. And I'm here for it. Along with this Datamined, it did show that Loki and Gore got added into the back end. So we'll wait and see what those two are going to be about. But I'm definitely excited to see what Loki's all about.
I think, and I don't know if this has been confirmed, but I think Loki, basically the turn he's played, you swap hands with your opponent.
Oh my gosh. I would love and hate that simultaneously, man. But again, this goes back to Marvel Snap. Second dinner. Make these new cards more accessible to people. Shake things up. Let's get these cards into more hands and into more decks, and let's see what kind of crazy stuff can pop off. That's what I'm here for. But Nate, you know what else I'm here for?
What's that, buddy?
Is a very brief, oh yes, very nice, where we look at a random variant. And I promise, the MODOK one that we did first was the only goofy one that we'll do. But this next one, man, I don't know what it is yet. I'll decide here in a couple of weeks when I'm editing this episode. But let's just real quick.
I thought you were setting me up last time we did this, because you said it was a 5 cost 3 power, and I thought you and we were talking, and you led me to believe that was my boy Devil Dino, and then you posted a thumbnail of us giving Leech googly eyes, and I was I was a little betrayed. I was like, did he just sucker me? Did he just like?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I got you, man. I got you. I'll hook you up. But again, Nate, random variant is up on the screen, man. What do you think?
Very nice. Very nice.
Indeed.
It's definitely better than the Taco Bell MODOK variant. I mean, I know
Indubitably.
that's hard to beat, but I definitely think this does it.
I don't even know if I used the word indubitably right, but yes.
No,
Very
yeah.
nice. Very nice.
It seemed above board to me, man.
Indeed. Let's round out the show with our favorite card highlight. Nate, what is a card that you're bringing to this episode that you're like, you know what, you guys, you got to check this out a little bit. You might be sleeping on it, or maybe you don't know how to use it properly, but we're going to give you a little bit of a push. What do you got, Nate?
I don't know what series she is, but I really, and I don't think I've I've probably talked about her before. I really like Hazmat.
Yeah.
And I think what I would say is that she takes there are a lot of cards you need to really utilize her effectively. Like to really have her be part of the win condition, you need to be playing Wong, you need to be doing like the Wong Mystique kind of stuff. Like I talked about that Toxic Sarah deck last episode. You need Luke Cage to be in your deck, and Luke Cage is a great utility card, period. He prevents any sort of like negative debuff effects. So he saves your cards from being like ripped down with a Valkyrie and stuff like that. But I guess I would say the pair of them, like, they're great cards. Hazmat is a fun little disruptor. And when you have the right card, she becomes just an absolute terror. So, yeah. Yep.
I remember when I first got Hazmat, I got Luke Cage first, and I was just waiting to get Hazmat. As soon as I did, I threw them into a deck, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good disruption deck. I think we talked about it in like one of the early episodes, how we throw debris out there, and it's like, what are you doing? You're like just clogging up the board and making it worse. Like, yeah, for you. It's a good time. It's a good time. You know what else is a good time? Is my pool 3 card pick, which, by the way, I did look it up. Hazmat is also in pool 3 as well, so it is one of those cards that you will get. My card that I want to reco or bring up, and I don't think I've brought this card up before, but if I have, I'm bringing it up again for a good reason. And this is literally one of my favorite X-Men characters, and that is Magneto. A 6-cost, 12-power card that's going to pull all opposing 3 or 4-cost cards to the location that he's played in. It's either going to win you a match, or it's going to win you a match, or it's going to make you lose. I don't know. It just depends on what happens. I have used Magneto more and more in the last weeks, specifically to shut down Galactus. It makes me laugh. Like, it's like they're playing these 3-cost cards over here, right? These 3 or 4-cost cards in the lanes. I'm like, you're just giving me ammo, buddy. What are you doing? Let's pull Electro. Let's pull this other card. Let's pull these cards over here. Let's give Galactus some friends so he can't blow up the board. It's a good time, man. But he's good for other things. He's real good to like. I've used Magneto to shut down a Taskmaster. I'll pull the Cosmo over into a lane, and Taskmaster won't ignite, and so that lane's shut down. The other lane shut down because they lost 3 power. Magneto's a good card, man. He takes some getting used to because he's kind of hard to play at first, but really once you get used to him and you're kind of looking at the board state, you're like, oh, I could play him right here and win. It's awesome. Plus his variants are super cool too. So Magneto is one I want to highlight this episode. What a great card.
He is a card that I don't play a lot of. And I've been wanting to, like the obvious pairing is like him, you drop Kingpin in a lane, make it all spiky, and then drag a bunch of your opponent's stuff. Like that's an easy way to like sort of, claim that lane. But
absolutely. It's fun. But y'all, thank you for listening to this episode of Snap Chatter, a Marvel Snap podcast. Nate, good sir, where can the good people find? I mean, they can find us on Twitter, right? Snapchatter Pod, YouTube, all that jazz. But where can they find you, man? If they want some, I don't know. You're kind of chilling out on the hot takes here.
I'm doing there's a lot of pictures of like dad mode stuff. So if you want to see like the softer side, like you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, pretty much like any of the gaming platforms on the GG app, all sorts of that stuff. I'm Nate _McKeever.
Right on, man. And as always, y'all can find me as the Thea Logan. Of course, you can find that on just about anything, Twitter, Marvel Snap, all that fun stuff and all that jazz. As always, Thank you for listening to this episode. Leave us kind reviews on the podcast app of your choice, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, any of those things. Leave us nice reviews and all that jazz. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and like and things like that. I'm hoping to stream some more, especially as we are getting closer and closer to the summer months. Forgot to bring that up last episode, but I'm hoping to stream some more just to kind of goof around. I'm going to have some more fun with the game, try out some different decks, and just kind of see what we can do. And if I wind up getting one of the new cards, hopefully let you know if it's worth 6,000 tokens or not. Yeah. Chances are it's probably not unless it's high evolutionary, but we'll see. We will see. But with that being said, y'all, thank you for watching this episode. And until next time, y'all keep on snapping, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Snap, 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 snap. Native Logan, ready to get rolling. Check your deck, wanna know what you're holding. I refuse to lose. Give me them cues. I'm ready to snap, tell me what you wanna do. Come on, let's go toe to toe. Marvel at my strength, I'm ready to win, yo. Give me the mic, I'm finna rap about it. Don't matter about it, chatter about it. Let's snap. Snap, 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 snap. I'm gonna snap, snap.